All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about something real and something that really strikes home with me because it was an issue that I struggled with for well over a year, even closer to 2 years, and that is testosterone, how to biohack your testosterone, your libido, and your overall function. When I was really sick, my sex drive disappeared. Nothing was working down there, and although it was hard at first to start talking about, what I found was that when I opened up about some of these struggles, a lot of other guys are dealing with these issues as well, and women too. But in this video, we're going to focus on the male aspect of it because that is what I know best. And I understand that, look, this isn't about going out and becoming some man whore or like more alpha or this and that. This is about feeling good. And we're going to approach this from a somewhat medical standpoint. And we're going to try to solve some of the common causes of low libido and some of the things that I see most often with clients in a way that you guys, it's like we're working together in figuring out what may be going on with you, what may be contributing to your situation, so that hopefully you can get some improvements in this area. And then if you want more help, we can possibly work on it together. But I want to give you a good basis. So we're going to go over nutrition, movement, stress management, sleep, supplements that help, and some of the troubleshooting areas where I see guys getting held back, things that they're doing that may even seem healthy that are actually making the situation worse. So first, let's start with nutrition. I know everyone's excited about the supplements, and we're going to get to that. But your food is a big part of it. And when it comes to your testosterone, what you don't eat is even more important than what you do eat. A lot of this energy, sexual energy in particular, it's tied to the overall health of your body. And if you're putting foods that are immunogenic and allergenic in your body, meaning they are eliciting an allergic reaction or they're causing an autoimmune response, that is energy that your body then has to use in order to dampen inflammation, to restore homeostasis in the body, and that's energy that is not going towards the reproductive processes. So you want to eliminate the big three. Normally, when we talk about energy and focus, there's the big five, and we go even deeper in terms of all these different types of foods that can be problematic and how to reintroduce those. And if that's something you're interested in, you can check out the Biohacking Rapid Fat Loss course, or you can check out the Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy and Focus and get a little bit more of a deep dive in there. But where I would start, if you just wanted the highest leverage foods to avoid that can cause the most issues, it would be grains, dairy, and alcohol. At least cutting back on alcohol. And if you do drink, making sure it's not beer, which is very estrogenic. And a lot of this, as you'll see as we talk a little bit more, is it's not just your testosterone levels, it's your testosterone levels in relation to your estrogen levels, and that correspondence between the two hormones in the body. So you want to avoid the big three. There's been a number of studies that have even found just one night of drinking can lower testosterone levels by 20 to 25%. So every little thing matters. And this is like, by making the right decisions and compounding those decisions over time, you will get a beneficial and synergistic effect. So starting with your nutrition, avoid the alcohol, grains, and dairy as much as possible. If you do drink alcohol, go with more so like a mixed drink, where you're not also throwing in sugary sweeteners. A lot of you guys that are more advanced are already aware of this, but it helps to just repeat and reinforce. A lot of times I'll do like a Ciroc vodka, which is a grape-based vodka as opposed to a grain-based vodka. I'll even do a Grey Goose. That is a grain-based vodka, but it's cleaner. I don't mess around with a lot of the conventional vodkas, or the ones that aren't. Pay up a little bit, make sure it's better quality, more distilled if you're going to drink. Or you could do like a Jameson, and sometimes those work well if you're going to drink, but you're best off not drinking at all, right? And then make sure that you're getting enough healthy fats. So I've had some guys where they're coming off of a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet, and I'm a big proponent of a plant-based diet, making 80% of what you eat come from plants, and most of those plants being vegetables, most of those vegetables being green. But especially if you have digestive issues, or perhaps you have some genetic predispositions that make it more difficult for your body to metabolize fats, you are going to absorb even less from your foods. And those people, we've found, need even more healthy fats in order to support testosterone synthesis in the body. So that may be your grass-fed beef, your grass-fed butter. I really like Vital Farms. Their grass-fed butter is fantastic. Their eggs are fantastic. And those are foods that you can include more frequently in your diet. You can also get healthy fats from wild-caught fish and oysters. Oysters are also loaded with zinc, which helps to boost the male libido. So incorporating more foods like that, along with a cup of bone broth daily to help heal the gut if you are dealing with intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So those are some of the foods that you'd want to incorporate a little bit more frequently. If you do suspect digestive issues, make sure that you're taking some enzymes to help break these things down. Otherwise, the meat's going to sit really heavy. If you eat like a grass-fed steak, like a grass-fed ribeye or a grass-fed filet, and you notice you feel kind of tired and lethargic afterwards, that may mean that you have some digestive issues, and you either need to supplement with some betaine HCl, betaine HCl, which is the same as the stomach acid that we produce in our body, or some enzymes like Masszymes, which is by Bioptimizers. And some of these things that help our body to break down the proteins and fats. I've even had clients with gallbladder issues, and they even clients that have had their gallbladders removed, and they need to supplement with ox bile by Nutricology to help facilitate that digestive process. So be sure to chew your food really well. Incorporate some more of these healthy fats like grass-fed steak, organic free-range eggs, wild-caught fish, and particularly fresh wild-caught oysters, and some of the grass-fed butters and things like that, if you tolerate them. Next, let's talk about hydration. It is impossible to expect our body to function optimally on a cellular or hormonal level if we are in a state of dehydration. So you want to take your current body weight and you want to drink that 70% of that in ounces of water every single day. And you want that water coming from a clean water source. So not municipal tap water. You want to go with like a Mountain Valley spring water, an Aquapana, a Voss water, a Kangen HD 501 Platinum machine. Or you can get like a reverse osmosis filter for your home and just make sure that you add some of the minerals and electrolytes that are also removed along with the toxins and pollutants back in. So you take whatever your body weight is. Let's say you weigh 100 pounds, just to make the math easy. Multiply that by 70%, which would be 70. And then you would drink 70 ounces of water every day from a clean source, away from meals so that it doesn't interfere with the digestive process. That's also going to help. And again, you're stacking these things. So, all right, I've got my nutrition down. I'm avoiding the bad stuff. I'm including more of the healthy fats. I'm making sure that I'm providing my body with the enzymes it needs to break these fats down and assimilate and absorb them if that's an issue. Then you're staying hydrated, and you're not hydrating with meals as much, which also dilutes your stomach acid and can interfere with optimal absorption, right? So you've got your nutrition and your hydration. Then let's talk about movement. There's kind of a few different camps with movement, but it's usually guys that are like not training enough and guys that are training way too much. Or similarly, you've got guys that are training like the same energy systems over and over again, where like they're only lifting weights and they're neglecting cardio, or guys that are like only doing cardio, but they can run a marathon, but they can't do a pull-up. And you want to kind of identify where you're at. So let's start with the first two camps, like guys that are training too much. I see a lot of cases of guys that are like doing CrossFit or these other glycolytically demanding activities where they're working out really hard. They're stacking that with a paleo, low carbohydrate diet, and their glycogen levels are too low. And after a few weeks, it starts down-regulating their thyroid hormone. It starts down-regulating their testosterone. And you have guys that are like in their 20s and 30s, and they get their blood tests done, and they've got testosterone levels of like a 70-year-old man or like a prepubescent girl, because that's what starts to happen if there is this mismatch between your energy expenditure and your carbohydrate intake, or if you're constantly in a calorie-depleted state. So the pursuit of six-pack abs can be a big issue for guys if you're trying to optimize your testosterone. And along those same lines, I talk to some of my friends that compete in like natural bodybuilding, and they talk about how when they're getting ready for a contest, when your body fat is really, really low, that can also prevent you from having that sex drive and motivation, because you are sending signals to your body that you're living in a period of scarcity. And when your body is getting those epigenetic signals and biochemical signals, it's not going to focus on bringing offspring into the world because it doesn't think there's enough food, because you're trying to walk around at 6% body fat. Whereas if you put a little bit of extra weight on and you allow yourself to say, all right, really like what matters more? Is it my drive, my motivation, feeling like a man, feeling like my mood is good, or is it having this six pack even though my wiener doesn't work? You know, and when you put it in perspective, let yourself increase your body fat a little bit. You will feel better, your mind will work better, and everything will fall into place. These bodybuilders, they've told me, like, the ironic thing is when I'm on stage, when those photos are being taken of me, that's when when I look my best is when I actually feel my worst. And I've had guys that look incredible and they're like, Anthony, nothing's working the way that it should. And I'll say, all right, let's taper down your training. Let's get you eating more. Let's put on a little body fat. Let's include more healthy fats. And all of a sudden, everything starts to open up. So whether it's overtraining or under recovering or keeping your body fat too low, you may need to address those things if you're in that camp. Now, on the other side of the thing, if you're not physically active and you're working all day at a desk job, you know that your strength leaves a lot to be desired, well, then you may need to just get yourself moving. It charges up our cells. It awakens the hormonal systems when we lift heavy things, when we move long distances at a slow and steady pace, when we occasionally sprint. And you may not even be in a position to sprint right now, and that's all right. But you do want to start building some strength. And that could be as simple as doing like the 3-minute push-up drill that we teach in one of our other videos every morning. It could be as simple as getting out and setting aside a half an hour where you're going to get outside, stretch, jog, sprint, walk, whatever, and just making sure you're sweating and you're putting in some time and investing in your health every single day, putting in that half an hour so that the other 23 and a half hours are better. So wherever you're at, whether you're overtraining, under recovering, whether you're just not moving enough, you need to figure out which one identifies with where you're at and then remedy that situation. Start building strength. Lifting heavy things is one of the greatest ways to boost your testosterone levels. And that a heavy thing is relative to where your strength is at right now. That could be your body weight. Your body weight could be a heavy thing. If you're not able to do the full 3-minute push-up drill, start with that. Start with body weight squats. Do negative pull-ups. Go to the gym and check out the Strong Lifts 5x5 program where you're doing 5 sets of 5 reps with about a minute in between, and you're using as much weight as you can in the core lifts, your bench press, your squat, your overhead press, your bent over row, your pull-ups, and your deadlifts, and go with those and just get strong in the basic lifts. Hire a trainer to teach you how to do the basic lifts with proper form. Say like, hey, I only need like a couple sessions. I just want you to make sure I have got the squat down, the deadlift down, the bench press down, the overhead press down. I can, do a pull-up or at least do a negative pull-up and can practice that on my own so that you can build that foundational strength. Learn how to activate your TVA. And when you feel like you've got that foundation, then you can at least practice those things and get that base that you need. And then so we've talked about the guys that are doing way too much and their body fat's too low. We've talked about the guys that aren't doing enough. And then on the other side, you've got the guys that are only doing like the weight training and high intensity interval training, and they're completely neglecting cardio. And then you've got the guys that are like doing a lot of cardio. So this is like the camp that's like already active, but they're just not working all of the energy systems. And so you've got like the high intensity interval guys and the weight training guys, and then you've got, and they're usually like the guys that hate cardio and bash cardio, and I'm more so over here, but I do cardio because for these same reasons. And then you've got the guys that can like run a marathon but can't do a pull-up. And you want to figure out which one of those you more associate with. If you are physically active, you're working out 3 to 6 times a week, and you want to make sure that you are training the other energy system. So if you're over here and you're lifting weights and you're pretty strong and you're good at that, you should probably work on building a bigger aerobic engine and doing some simple steady state cardio, wearing a heart rate monitor with a chest strap like a Garmin Forerunner 220, getting outside and running 3 days a week. It could be something as simple as just getting in your target heart rate zone, which you calculate as 180 minus your age. So if you're like a 40-year-old guy, 180 minus your age gets you to 140. Subtract 10 from that gets you to 130. You want to stay between 130 and 140 for like 20 to 30 minutes straight. Do it outside, not on a machine, not on a treadmill. You can do a treadmill if like the weather is like terrible, but otherwise get outside, get the sun, because that also plays a role in all of this. And more sun exposure increases dopamine production, which increases drive and motivation, which is what we're trying to do. So that's why when I say get outside, I'm not always explaining the mechanisms. I will try to, but if I'm saying get outside, there's a reason. If I'm making a specific recommendation, there is a reason, and it's all intertwined. So then if you're in this camp where, let's say you're an awesome runner, and you're running 4, 5, 6 days a week, you're logging 20 plus miles a week, but your strength is crap, then you need to work on getting stronger. And you need to work on lifting heavy things and putting up more weight in the bench press, the deadlift, the squat, and getting used to having high amounts of weight overhead where you're activating your core and you're staying stable, because those heavy lifts are going to stimulate testosterone production. And even doing things like wrestling, mixed martial arts, watching those things. Combat is extremely androgenic and has a powerful effect on the male hormones. And a lot of guys don't want to fight because a lot of guys don't want to lose. But you know what? At the end of the day, you are where you are, and you don't really know a lot about yourself until you put yourself out there and until you are willing to lose. I got my business partner, Russell. We wrestle every time I'm out here, and every single time he beats me. I go into it and I'm like, he was an All-American wrestler. I know I'm going to lose, but there's nothing harder than wrestling. And there's something that happens when you're willing to put yourself out there and compete. It's missing in a lot of our lives because we're just afraid to look silly. And by putting yourself out there and banging it out with other guys, whether that's boxing, whether that's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts, anything, that type of combat is a great physical activity for just engaging. And I talked about this in a video recently, but there's an old Greek saying that talks about the 5 deaths that every man experiences. And the first one is the day you stop, like your last fight, the day you stop fighting. The next one is the last time you have sex. The next one is when you physically die. The next one is when your body is once again joins the earth and decomposes and breaks down. And the fifth one is the last time your name is said. There's a reason that the Spartans and the ancient Greeks talked about the first death being the last time that you fight. There's a powerful male androgenic effect to fighting. And all it takes is a willingness to fight and learn. And yeah, you may get hurt a little bit. You'll get better. The impact of putting yourself out there and competing is very powerful. So a lot of times we compete, and we're competing in the office, and we're competing over this and that. Compete at the purest level. Watch fighting if you like it, and expose yourself to that type of energy. Let's talk about stress management. So we live in a world where we're inundated with chronic stress, and acute stress is good. Short-term stressors that do not exceed the body's ability to adapt and respond are a good thing. Chronic stress, where you hate waking up and going to work, where your significant other is always nagging you, where you've got some sort of parasite or pathogen living in your body that is constantly stressing, and your body is trying to not just eliminate your toxins, but is trying to eliminate the toxins of other organisms. These things can all contribute to chronic stress. And we want to identify what it is that is contributing to our stress and how we can remedy that situation. Some of the easiest ways, some of the places that you want to start before you even deep dive into troubleshooting are having a more playful attitude, just having more fun with your life. At the end of the day, I talk about this all the time. The two things that you're going to do, or the things that you're going to do long term, are the things that are fun and the things that make you feel good. And the more fun that you can integrate into any routine that you want to be sustainable, the more likely you are to make that routine something that you do long term. And finding things that make you feel good, letting your emotions and the physiological responses that take place in your body guide you towards the activities that you do more often. So just bringing that attitude of when you're doing your 5-minute journal in the morning, or your biohacking journal, whatever tool you use, reinforcing, I am fun, I am funny, I am playful, and then bringing that to every interaction you have throughout the day, taking time to laugh, taking breaks, being that person that helps uplift spirits, and that will have, like, the things that you do for other people end up benefiting you as well. Like, if you want to feel, let's say if you want to feel more loved, the best way to do that is to show other people more love. And if you want like more of people's attention, the best thing for you to do is give more of your attention to other people. So if you want to feel like happier, more playful, just bring that to other interactions. Help other people to feel happy. Help other people to have more fun and laugh, and you'll laugh more, and you'll be able to experience all those benefits in your life. The other one is with managing stress. A lot of times we take on this attitude where we're so concerned about what other people are thinking of us. We take away our power. We become reactive, and it sets us up to feel almost like subservient. Whereas if you're respectful and if you're coming from a place of good intention, you don't need to apologize for your actions. You just want to be authentic. You want to care about other people, but you don't want to come across as weak or supplicating or approval seeking, or where you are waiting to see how someone else reacts so that you can feed off of that and then respond accordingly. You're coming from a place of genuine authenticity, radical honesty, where you are who you are. They can take it or leave it. And you know what they say, like the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. So you come as you are, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, and just the people that really like you, they're going to find that to be, they're going to find it to be exciting and authentic and just real, and they're going to appreciate it. And the people that don't spend time with them and don't pay it any attention. Confidence comes from developing yourself and knowing that you are taking steps to become your higher self, the best version of yourself. It's not something you can fake. I mean, you can fake some of the behaviors of someone that's confident, but true confidence comes from the pursuit of a worthy goal and saying and knowing that you're putting in the work every day to become the best version of yourself. And if you're not doing that, then anything you're doing trying to be confident is going to feel like it's a house of cards. But if you know that you're working hard on your body, your health, your relationships, your finances, your business, whatever it is, and you're learning and you're growing and you never stop evolving. You never say, "Oh, I'm not going to get a smartphone because it's too much technology and I'm no good with technology." You say, "No, I'm going to learn it because that's going to challenge my mind and I'm going to keep growing and I'm going to push myself and I'm going to be the best version of myself, and I know that's a tool that can help me in that endeavor," or whatever. That's just an example, but confidence comes from the pursuit of a worthy goal and being the best version of yourself. And when you make compromises, when you make sacrifices, you know that inside. Nobody else may know it, but you know if you've cheated yourself, you know if you've settled, and that translates into your confidence and the way that you approach every interaction in your life. So that's just some mindset stuff that helps with stress management, because when you feel unconfident, when you don't like the way that your body looks in your clothes, you're going to be more stressed when you go out. When you have a playful attitude and things, dust off your shoulders easier, that also helps with managing stress. Now, some of the more specific tactical things that help with stress: breathing exercises, like we show in the morning routine. If you want a more detailed course, the Wim Hof method has a great 10-week course that will help with that. It's like a combination of oxygenation, cold thermogenesis, and some exercise, physical movement. Then there's yoga, especially hot yoga is great for managing stress. And the last one is meditation. There's tons of resources for all of these things. Hot yoga you can find in just about every city across America now, and even different parts of the world. Meditation, you've got apps like Headspace, Omvana, the Deepak Chopra and Oprah programs. Like Shedding the Weight is one that I'm going through right now. And I'm not concerned about losing weight, but you learn a lot through those. They share lessons, and then you reflect on those, and then you go into a meditation. And then there's also biohacking tools for increasing relaxation, like the David Smart, the David Delight Pro, the Mind Spa, the Dream Spa, the New Calm, and all of those help too. So managing your stress, and if you really want to maximize the benefits of meditation, I recommend doing it within 30 minutes of waking up. There's a number of studies that have come out recently that have shown coupling meditation with physical exercise, especially outside, has this multiplier effect on its stress-reducing properties. So get up, even if it's just 5 minutes, meditate for 5 minutes, kind of find your center, establish your grid, get outside, do some steady-state cardio if you're more of a weight guy. Do some body weight training where you're getting stronger with handstand push-ups and regular push-ups. Do the 3-minute push-up challenge like we got in one of our other videos. Do some Wim Hof, and you will feel more centered and more focused throughout your day. Sleep is another big one. They did a study where they found that guys who slept 4 hours a night compared to guys who sleep 8 hours a night had 60% lower testosterone levels. So essentially, for every extra hour of sleep, your testosterone goes up 15%. And the first thing that I always ask a guy when they say, "Hey, how do I increase my testosterone?" They're looking for supplements. I say, "How much you sleep in?" And it's usually 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe 6 hours if I'm lucky. That's where you start. That's one of the highest leverage activities that you can do, just spending more time in bed. I recommend a minimum of 7.5 hours in bed. And that is going to help regulate your hormones. It's going to bring everything back into balance. You want to sleep better? Get outside during the day, reset your circadian rhythm early in the day, expose your eyes to natural sunlight, sweat. All those things will help you to sleep better. If you want to optimize your sleep more, shut down all electronics 2 hours before bed. How do you do that? You set a reminder on your phone that goes off every single day. So if you know that you wake up at 5 a.m. and you need to spend 7.5 hours in bed, that means you need to be in bed at 9:30, right? If you want your electronics off 2 hours before bed every day at 7:30, you have a recurring alarm go off that tells you, turn the shit off. And you listen to it, and then you have the discipline. That's it. It comes down to discipline. If Netflix is running and another episode of The Walking Dead is coming on and it's going to start in 10 seconds, no, you grab the remote and you turn it off, because that's what discipline is about. And then when it's like 9:20, you have another recurring alarm that goes off and it says, hey, go brush your teeth and get your butt in bed. And when that alarm goes off, you do that too. And it doesn't matter what you've got going on. If you didn't make boom boom with your wife, sorry wife, you got to do it the next day. I should have planned better, right? So that's the way it works. It's just discipline and doing the things you know you need to do, even when you don't want to. And that's a great way to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Now, if you want to optimize the quality of your sleep, sleep in a cold room. I recommend like 68, 69 degrees. If it's cool outside, open up some windows, get some fresh air, some negative ions in there. The Natural Factors has a tranquil sleep formula. That's great. You can take 2 chewables. You get 3 milligrams of melatonin. You get a little 5-HTP. You get a little GABA aminobutyric acid. All of these release inhibitory neurotransmitters that help us calm down and help us get a more restful night's sleep. Wear an eye mask. Wear earplugs. Turn off all the lights. And that goes without saying. And then if you want to biohack that and improve your sleep, some tools like the Earth Pulse is something I use right now. I'm going to be experimenting with a Beamer PEMF mat. I wear the David Smart on the sleep setting almost every night. And all of those things I've found increase my quality of sleep. But if you're not getting outside, exposing yourself to sunlight, if you've ever been camping, you know that like, you're around the campfire, and by the time it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night, you're like ready for bed. It's because you've been outside, you've been moving, you've been exposed to sunlight, and your body is in touch with a more natural biorhythm. Conversely, if you are in front of a computer all day, you're playing video games, you're working too much, you're on your cell phone, you're getting these dopamine hits every time you get a text message coming in, it's going to keep you up, especially if you bring those electronics into bed with you. That is a disaster. I've made the mistake many, many times. I always think it's not going to affect me. And it doesn't matter if you're wearing your, blue light blocking glasses or whatever, it's still going to be a problem. It's stimulating your mind. So shut down the lights, shut down the electronics, light some of the pink Himalayan rock salt candles. You can get them for like $10 on Amazon or even less. You can get 2 for like 14. Get some of the little tea light bees candles in there. Light those and use natural light. Your body will start to slow down and you'll start to find it easier to sleep. So all those things are great for optimizing your sleep. Now, let's talk about the topic that everyone has probably been waiting for, which is supplements and pharmacologics. So there are a number of substances, both in the supplement space, in the pharmacological space, and in the hormonal space that have been shown to help with sex drive. I'll give you the pros and cons of each, what I know people to have used, what is supported in the scientific literature, and then I will let you guys make an educated decision on your own. And if this is something that you want to talk about, you want to bounce some ideas back and forth, then maybe the coaching program's a fit for you. All right, so we've got some supplements here. We'll start with the stuff that is out, and then we will go to some of the stuff that is not pictured. This is just what I had with me and what was relevant for you guys in this video. And we'll talk about some of the different benefits of each. So let's start with L-citrulline. L-citrulline is, there are 2 supplements that help with blood flow to this region, and that are the most well documented are L-arginine and pycnogenol, which is French maritime pine bark extract. The downside to L-arginine, which was originally brought to my attention by Dr. Stephen Bunner, he's done a lot of work in the Lyme space and with different viral infections and herpes simplex and so on, was that L-arginine can exacerbate viral issues. L-citrulline helps the body to produce more nitric acid, more arginine, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't go through that same pathway, and it doesn't cause the same issues with certain viral infections. So by taking L-citrulline, you get improved protein metabolism and you get improved function in that area. If you do fine with arginine, you can take L-arginine and you can do that instead. And you want to find the dosage that is right for you. I usually recommend 2 to 3 capsules of this Now brand L-citrulline a day on an empty stomach, and that is a great way to get that I get the benefits of arginine without actually taking arginine. Then you've also got the Tongkat Ali, which is an herb that's been shown to boost libido and sex drive. This is Source Naturals brand. With this, I just take 1 tablet a day and follow their recommendations. They say to take 1 tablet twice daily. So if it's something that you're really focused on, you can take 1 tablet twice daily, and then find the dose that is right for you. You know, there's a 250-pound guy is going to typically require a different dose than a 125-pound guy. So you want to kind of take these recommendations as a jumping off point and then personalize it for you. Some of these other ones are less tied specifically to libido, and then we'll move on to each of these categories. The reason I've got these over here is because these are empty stomach. So you've got these 2, which are sublingual lozenges. This is NADH, which is a coenzyme that's related to vitamin B3, helps with energy production. It's also beneficial for jet lag, and we'll talk about that in another video for how to stay healthy and lean when you're traveling and how to overcome jet lag. And then this is methylcobalamin, which is a bioactive form of B12 and methylfolate. And the benefits of both of these is that you put them under your tongue, they taste pretty good, and they, for people that are dealing with gut dysfunction, which is a lot of guys that have libido issues, they bypass that absorption pathway. So you absorb them directly into the bloodstream from under the tongue. A lot of vitamin B12, even if you're taking it in capsule form, is broken down by our stomach acid and consequently not absorbed. Whereas when you take it under your tongue, you're able to absorb a lot more. Now, I also like incorporating adenosylcobalamin and hydroxycobalamin, which are other forms of vitamin B12. I don't mess around with cyanocobalamin. It's low quality, it's cheap, it's synthetic. It doesn't work well. But the other 2 that I mentioned, for some people, they do really well with those forms of vitamin B12. But this is the one that the largest percentage of the population will do well with. If you want to try adenosylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin, you can get hydroxycobalamin in a product called Perque, Perque. And if you just type Perque hydroxycobalamin, hydroxocobalamin, you'll find it. It's like 2,000 or 3,000 milligrams in a sublingual lozenge. And this same brand, Seeking Health, they make the Adeno B12, and that's how you get the adenosylcobalamin form. So I would do 1 of these each per day to start out. You can do up to 5 of these a day if you really need to, but I would just start with 1 and 1 and see how you feel. There's also a big neurotransmitter and mood component to libido. If you're anxious, if you're stressed, if your body is producing suboptimal levels of neurotransmitters because you're dealing with a certain genetic variation like MTHFR, or maybe you're just not breaking down your food and you're not producing optimal levels of serotonin or dopamine or any of the other key neurotransmitters, sometimes taking supplements to support neurotransmitter synthesis can be helpful. And this is Doctor's Best Sam E. So you can see it comes in these little blister pack pouches. I recommend taking, each one is 400 milligrams. I recommend doing 800 to 1200 milligrams a day on an empty stomach. This is also helpful for liver function, detoxification. If you deal with joint issues, it can be good for that. It'll boost your mood. You'll find yourself just feeling more happy, confident, things don't bother you as much. And if you think maybe you're on the edge of, you're not depressed, but maybe you're low mood, maybe you're sometimes anxious, this can be really helpful. And that also carries over to helping you to be more playful, helping you to just enjoy life, not take things so serious. And therefore, sex is play. So when we're playful, we, as a natural byproduct, want to engage in more sexual activity. Okay. So let's move on over here. So now we have some of the ones that can be taken with food, with the exception of this one. Actually, this can also be taken on an empty stomach, as can this. So I might as well cover them now. This is CBD oil. It's plus CBD oil. There's also on discovercbd.com, you can also get active CBD. And this comes, many of us are now familiar with the benefits of medicinal marijuana, and it's legal in a bunch of the 50 states and will probably be legal in even more in the coming years. But the health benefits of medicinal marijuana come from two main cannabinoids in the plant. That's THC and CBD. THC is the one that gets you high. CBD doesn't get you high at all, but it still provides a tremendous amount of health benefits. It elevates mood, it decreases pain, it helps you get better quality of sleep, and all of those things can have a positive impact on sex drive, as we've been talking about. Similarly, this is Fluorosist Mood. It's a probiotic by the Life Extension Company, and it's been found to improve mood and increase serotonin levels in the body. So a lot of folks know that probiotics are important, but they don't know what strains of probiotics they're taking, and what strains you should be taking depend on the current bacterial composition of your gut, which is something that's dynamic. It's always changing. And this is a good probiotic to work in and cycle to help increase your mood, be more playful, decrease stress and anxiety, and all of that stuff, all of those things that we're trying to achieve. Now, if those aren't issues for you, if you're like, hey, I'm always in a great mood, I'm always playful, I'm never stressed and anxious, I just sometimes have issues performing. Well, then some of these other things will also help that we've mentioned, like the Tongkat Ali, like the L-citrulline, like some of these other compounds that we're going to mention coming up here. So yes. And then while we're still talking about stress, anxiety, tension, Calbrand magnesium glycinate is the most bioactive form of magnesium. It's up there with magnesium malate. If you're taking any other form of magnesium, I recommend switching to these. One that is also really good for stress and anxiety and tension is the elemental magnesium that's in Natural Vitality's Natural Calm. I recommend the raspberry lemon flavor. You can make like a little tea out of it. You heat up some water, you put in a tablespoon of the powder, stir it in, give it a drink, and it will get you some elemental magnesium that's easily absorbed. I recommend taking 1,000 milligrams of this a day with food, and especially if you're blocked up, if you notice that elimination you're sometimes constipated, or your poop is really, really hard, this can help with all of that. And the more you're able to effectively eliminate toxins from your body, the more your body is able to partition energy towards your sex drive and hormonal health. So that covers those. Now let's talk about creatine. Many of you are familiar with creatine from a bodybuilding muscle gain standpoint, but it's also being used now in a number of different health conditions, including multiple sclerosis, chronic fatigue. It's been shown to upregulate mitochondrial function, and I've noticed, and a number of clients have noticed, by taking creatine and incorporating this, especially these two forms, into their routine, they have a higher sex drive, they feel increased libido, more focus, and just overall better function. So I recommend 2 to 3 capsules of the Concret and 2 capsules of the Jarrow Creapure Creatine Monohydrate with food, assessing your tolerance, making sure you're getting plenty of magnesium, possibly potassium, possibly some salt stick to replace those electrolytes, because creatine can cause you to store more muscle. It can make you more likely to become dehydrated or experience cramping. So you want to make sure you're staying hydrated. But if you're drinking 70% of your body weight in ounces of water a day, that's covered. If you're getting these other electrolytes, that's going to be covered. Then we have one that I mentioned earlier, which is pycnogenol, the French maritime pine bark extract. This is a powerful antioxidant. It's great for people that are dealing with autoimmune conditions, and it is also a great way to increase blood flow and improve circulation to the areas where we are trying to do so. I recommend 150 milligrams. This is Now brand. These are 30 milligram capsules. I recommend 150 milligrams a day with food, and this, along with the citrulline or along with L-arginine, are like natural Viagra, and they can help increase blood flow down there and make sure that function is where we want it. Then the last two that we have on us, before we get into ones that aren't pictured, we've got vitamin B6 in the form of pyridoxal 5-phosphate. This has been shown to decrease the refractory period, so the amount of time that guys need to recover in between sexual experiences. It's also a great way to increase and provide some of the key, the base elements, the raw cofactors that we need for neurotransmitter production. I recommend 50 to 150 milligrams of pyridoxal 5-phosphate vitamin B6 per day. It's better than the pyridoxine HCl, which is what most people are taking. So switch to P5P. You can also get P5P in Thorne Methylguard Plus or BioPure Core. And just follow the recommended dosage for those ones. Last but not least, in the supplements that I had with me, we've got Gaia Adrenal Health. This is an adaptogen formula. It does help with your adrenals, which a tremendous amount of research has shown that libido, testosterone, sex drive, and function is intrinsically linked to adrenal health and adrenal function. And these adaptogens function by taking body systems that are either too high and bringing them back down to normal levels, or if they're too low, it helps to upregulate them. So it's it finds out where your body's at and it brings it back into a state of balance. And you would take 4 of these per day with food. Now, some of the other substances that we haven't talked about that don't get mentioned a lot, that are kind of like, it's like the elephant in the room, where a lot of guys have used these things, they've experienced benefits of them, but no guys talk about them. These are conversations that, fortunately, when you're pretty open about completely losing your sex drive, completely having your function disappear for extended periods of time, other guys feel more comfortable talking about these things. So these are some of the substances that guys have used and found to be helpful based on whatever it is that is holding them back. So as you're seeing with all this, there are a lot of things that could be holding you back from optimizing your function. I'm trying to give you the main things that it could be, so that you can hopefully be like, oh, I think that's what I've got going on. And you can test it and you can run an experiment, try to biohack it, see the results you get, and hopefully you can get some pretty amazing results. The first is cabergoline, or abbreviated as CABR. This is a prescription drug. It is a dopamine agonist, and it's used primarily in Parkinson's, but a lot of guys in the bodybuilding communities use it to increase libido, and they use it for like post-cycle therapy to help get function back. It increases dopamine levels in the body, and it also has been shown, like P5P, like even parsley, to decrease that refractory period and increase male libido. The dosages that I've heard of guys using is like 0.5 milligrams once a week, twice a week, something like that, where it's spaced out every 3 days, a pretty low dose. There's people that are taking 0.5 milligrams every day and up from there. So this is nothing like you would experience if you were working, if it were prescribed for someone that was Parkinsonian, but it can be helpful to help the body produce more dopamine, especially if you're taking some of the things that we've talked about here that help you to produce more dopamine naturally, like bringing the right type of mindset, getting outside, getting lots of full spectrum sunlight to your eyes so that that can interact with tyrosine and help produce more dopamine in the body. There is a substance called bupropion, or Wellbutrin, which was originally created to help people quit smoking. And then they realized, oh wow, this helps, this almost works like an antidepressant. And it's been shown to increase libido in women and men. So that's called bupropion or Wellbutrin. I know some guys that have experimented with low doses of that and had some pretty powerful results, whereas most selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors can decrease libido, bupropion can help to increase it. Now, if you're dealing with anxiety and you're prone to being overstimulated, you're sensitive to stimulants, Wellbutrin does have a stimulatory effect, and that can be too much for some guys. So keep that in mind, and I wouldn't experiment with it. And I'm never recommending prescription drugs. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet. I'm just telling you from anecdotal cases what other people have told me they've experienced benefits from. Some other supplements that we didn't mention: Zoo Nutrition, ZHOU Nutrition, horny goat weed, and maca. 2 of those a day with food provides some benefits for guys. Ginseng, Solgar ginseng, particularly Korean ginseng, can be helpful. Just 1 of those capsules a day with food. Life Extension Super Mira Forte, which contains a number of compounds to increase testosterone and improve that testosterone to estrogen ratio. You would take 4 of those a day with food. And all of these things, you don't want to take them all at once. Of course, you want to know what is going to provide the impact. So you want to be intelligent and think, what what could be the bottleneck in your situation, and then how do you address that through some of these tools that have been shown to be effective. The other two, for guys that have issues with estrogen metabolization, are dim-diindolylmethionine and calcium D-glucarate. Both of those help with cellular detoxification, estrogen metabolization, as does just eating a tremendous amount of cruciferous vegetables. So if you're not getting the 80% plants, most of those plants being vegetables, most of those vegetables being green, like we talked about, do that. That's going to help with estrogen metabolization. Make sure a lot of those are cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, etc. And then the last ones that can be beneficial and can also be problematic are the hormones and HGH. Some guys do use anabolic hormones. Now, over 300 milligrams a week. So just to put things in perspective, guys that are 40 plus that have their testosterone levels checked and they find that they're low, a doctor may prescribe 100 to 200 milligrams a week of like a testosterone cypionate or a testosterone enanthate. They've got creams and stuff like that as well. But sometimes those can be all a guy needs to, if you're over the age of 40, get some of the tests that I recommend in the Biohacking Rapid Fat Loss course. I go over all the best tests so that you can look and see where your hormonal levels are at. And if they're suboptimal, possibly taking some steps to optimize those may provide some benefits in terms of function, drive, and then optimizing your testosterone. It's been shown to cause increased lean muscle mass, improved bone density, and slow down the aging process, where guys just, they notice a return of their youthful vigor and drive. So that's something to keep in mind. There are a lot of guys that have used cypionate and had results where they've actually found that it decreased their sex drive. So it is a very individual thing, and that could be to the exogenous testosterone throwing off the T to E ratio, like we talked about, where the body converts it to estrogen. And then the other one is enanthate. So for those folks, we usually say, hey, try enanthate, or try Anavar, which is, so cypionate and enanthate, both bioidentical. So on a molecular level, they mimic the hormones that our bodies produce naturally. And that is, if you are going to do any type of exogenous hormones, that is where you want to operate. You don't want to be using this stuff like Winstrol that's created for raising cattle and fattening them up. It makes no sense for us to avoid beef from factory farms because it's got hormones and antibiotics in it, and then we're taking prescription antibiotics and shooting up the same hormones that they're shooting cows with in ourselves. That makes no sense whatsoever, and that's what a lot of bodybuilders are doing, just that. So if you think about that from a health perspective, very detrimental to health. The other hormone that has low toxicity and is androgenic, that's used a lot with burn victims and cancer patients, is Anavar. A lot of bodybuilders use this to help cut weight, and that has been also very effective for a number of people in boosting their sex drive. And I've heard a number of anecdotal cases in that, usually in the 20 milligrams to 60 milligrams a day. Then there's human growth hormone, but honestly, that's too expensive for almost anybody, and that also comes with downsides like rapidly accelerating cancer growth. Which, as long as we're talking about hormones, if you're taking more than 300 milligrams a week of any type of exogenous testosterone, you are upregulating your IGF-1 and dramatically increasing your risk of cancer. There's always some point where if anyone gets cancer, there's a lag period where they have cancer and they don't know it. And if that period occurs and you have elevated levels of IGF-1, that cancer is going to grow, and it's going to grow a heck of a lot faster than if you didn't. So that is why I always recommend going the natural route, using some of these supplements short term while you troubleshoot the other things that could be holding you back from the type of libido, testosterone levels, and drive and function that you want. You don't need to take all of these supplements for the rest of your life. You want to use them as tools to provide you a little bit of that lift in the short term while you say, all right, what is the root cause of this? The lack of sex drive, the lack of function is a symptom. We are not trying to treat symptoms. We're trying to get to the root cause. Now, whether that is overtraining, under recovering, not training enough, training the wrong energy systems, adrenal dysfunction where you need to get your adrenals back on board, gut dysfunction, hidden infections like parasites, any of those things, use the Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy and Focus. We've got a troubleshooting section in the back. If it's something you want help with, I'd be happy to talk with you. But those are some of the best tools, research, tactics, and lifestyle changes that you can use to increase your testosterone levels naturally, to boost your drive, increase your libido, and improve function. I appreciate you taking the time. I know that was a lot of information. I hope it helped, and I look forward to speaking with you in another video.